Hello everyone and welcome back to Netmaster Zone channel and another video of FortiGate series. In the previous video we configure our ldap server by installing and configuring the Active Directory inside the Windows 2008 server. And then we configure our FortiGate to use this ldap user inside the Active Directory for management access, for admin access inside the FortiGate. Now let's go and let's log in with one of this user. It was Bob and the password. Now you can see that we are able to access this. Before doing any other configuration, let's go to our FortiGate and add this radius user inside the Active Directory. Here in this video, we are going to configure our FortiGate, and then we'll come back here. As you see, we have another option here, and that FortiGate as a first of all, let's see what is the difference between the ldap and radius server. Let's go. The first thing is that the ldap is using the TCP, and you know the TCP is first of all we need a name, of course, three-way unchecking, and make sure that when it sends the packet, we can easily identify that. The NAS IP, what is the NAS sure IP? That the other side receives that packet, and it's waiting for the acknowledgement. I'm connected, and after it receives the acknowledgement, then it will send the other packet. But Radius is using UDP, and UDP just sending packet and doesn't care if this the other side receives the IP packets or not. The FortiGate is going to send its request. Look inside these two and compare them together, and the ldap is used for the security application. If you give this IP address, network FortiGate knows that if it needs a request, any request from Radius system, it will send that request authenticating the application address. But Radius service is used for authenticating the network, for example, to this side. For example, if you have a switch and you want to access here is 192.168.50 user inside the IP address Radius server, and also inside this switch, for example, in the Wi-Fi, when you want to then the user that we need to add the IP or name of the Wi-Fi and something Radius server. You can use the name if you have a DNS server configured, but if it's not, if we compare that using 10.10.1.21, for example, this is my remote access VPN. Also, both of them are couplable, and the good thing about the Radius is that it has a AAA authentication, authorization, and now let's check this connectivity. It's logging every single access and every single activity inside the Radius server cannot be Radius server, and for each user. Can we ping this? Let's go and first install our Radius server inside our Windows 2008 server, and then we will come back here and create a new Radius server. To that, let's go to our Windows. Here, Active Directory is still here. Okay, let it be. Let's go to the server manager, and here in the server manager, let's install a rule that called network and policy and the IP address of the NAS services 192.168. We have here network, policy, and access service for the let's install this rule 10.10.1.21 by selecting that and press next. In the next page, you will see the information about this and the user administrator inside for network authentication, authorization, and Windows client health using the network policy server. It just gives us the connectivity, a small brief about this service that we are going to use. And also, you can see here that it's used the first of all, let me check if I can CAP protocol. For the authorization 10.10.1. Okay, let's press next. Yes, next is ping. Here we need to select the network policy server. We are not going to install any other services here, and currently actually we don't need them. And let's press next. 1, 2, 3, and install. Stop. This installation will take just a few seconds, okay, say less than a minute, depend to the server, but it will install the service that will be used to use Radius server. Let's wait for the installation. Okay, the installation is finished. I didn't stop any video and it just installed. You can see the installation is succeed, and let's close this. Now we have another rule here, and that is the network policy and access service. Okay, let's close this and let's access this network policy and access services. Network policy server. In the first access, of course, you need to do some configuration here. For example, you need first of all, you need to register this network policy to the Active Directory to be able to use the Active Directory users. Okay, let me right click on this and select the register server in the Active Directory. Okay, now our server is registered to the Active Directory, and then let's go and create a Radius client and servers. Okay, Radius client, right click and new. The name of the client that I'm going to connect is FortiGate, and the password I'm going to the IP address is 192.168.50.2. What IP address is this? This is the IP address that is actually configured here in the inside port, and that is connected to other side to 50.1 here in the switch. It's the best IP address that we can select here, because as long as this IP address is available, it means that this FortiGate is connected to the Radius server and to the inside network. Okay, now let's go for the credential and shared secret. We can generate one, but it's going to create a very long password, and actually I don't think it's required. Let's create one manually. This shared secret, it's very important to remember that, because we are going to use this shared secret inside our FortiGate when we are going to connect our FortiGate to the Radius server. Okay, now let's save this. Now we have a FortiGate as a Radius client and the IP address of that, and also the other information. Now the Radius server knows that it should listen to IP address, to this IP address, and it's one of the client for this Radius server. And when the FortiGate try to access this, the Radius server will reply back to the FortiGate. Okay, now let's go to the FortiGate, and here let's Radius server, and let's create a new. The name of that, let's name that Radius SRV. And the NAS IP, what is the NAS IP? The NAS IP is an IP address that this FortiGate wants to send its request to the Radius server. It's for security reason, because every time when the FortiGate wants to request a Radius service, it knows that this service is coming from this IP address from the inside. For example, if we have another Radius server here in the outside, then when the reply back from another source, from another IP address, the FortiGate will not accept that. Here, of course, we can write that IP address or may not, if it's not doesn't required or you don't need to use that. Okay, we just passed it, but here I'm going to add this IP address, that is 192.168.50.1. This is the IP address that is configured inside the switch. Then the IP address of the Radius server, that is 10.10.1.21. And the secret, this is a secret that we just created before to access Radius server. To test this connection, let's click on this, and you can see that the test is successful. And also, like ldap server, we can test our user also here, Bob, with its password. you can see that, okay, I think I just, yep, it fails. Yeah, it should fail because we don't have any radius policy. We just create a radius client here, and now when Bob trying to access this, there is no any policy available here to allow this. You can see that we have some policies here, and all of them is denying the access. It's like access list. It's deny at the end of every access list to deny any other connection that is not matched one of these policies. Let's go to Windows Event Viewer, and here in the Event Viewer we should see this problem. Let's go to the Windows log, and in the security, let's find the log that is belong to this network service network policy server. And here in the network policy server, let me double click on that, and here you can see the details that this user Bob tried to authenticate and it's failed, and the reason of that is already is written here. Okay, let's go and create a network policy for this to allow access to the Bob to access the FortiGate. In the network policy, let's right click and new. In the new policy, let me name that admin access. And in the admin access, the type of the network access server, let it be specified. If you change that, this authentication will fail because of the maybe the vendor specific or something. It will not work with any of this. And also the vendor specific here we only have from I think it's from 10. It's from 10 to 100, and the vendor specific for the FortiGate is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and it will not accept this. It's going to 100 back. Then let's use this unspecified. Next, here let's create a condition, add. We have many different conditions that we are able to make. For example, Windows group, what version of Windows is going to connect. Machine group, this machine is belong to which group inside the Active Directory. User group, of course, the user is belong to which user, which group inside the Active Directory, and many other condition that we can select it here, time base, IP address base, and so on. You can see day and time. Let's select this user group, add it, add a group. For example, I'm going to let the admin group, okay, to access this FortiGate manager. Okay, admin group. Let's click next, and here we are going to access grant the access here, access granted or deny or anything that we are going to do. Next, let's do not touch this page here. This is for the remote access VPN and also for 802.1x. That is when the client needs to authenticate. We are not going to use this here. Let's click next. And here, of course, some other options that we have here, we can change it. For example, timeout, the idle time after how many seconds that this session should time out, and so on. Next, and also here some other condition that we can do. For example, this vendor specific. We will speak about this later in the remote access VPN. We will use this. Next. And finish. Now the admin access, all the user who are in the admin access group will be able to access the FortiGate. Let's go and log in. First, let me log in with admin. This is a local user inside the FortiGate. And to check this, unfortunately I didn't save that. Let's write it again. Radius SRV 192.168.50.1, the IP address 10.10.1.21, and the secret. Let's test the connection. Okay, let's test the user credential. For example, I'm going to check Sarah. Let's check Bob. Okay, Bob is successful and Sarah is not successful, and that should be because of the group that we are created here for Sarah and Bob. Let's see, the Sarah is member of admin group and also domain user, and Bob it's same, because in the previous video we just changed this. No problem. I think the password for this is different, or the user is locked. Let's change this. Unlock the user. Okay, let's get back and try to test it. Okay, this time the authentication is passed. I believe it's because of the user, maybe some wrong password we type and the user is get locked in the Active Directory. Okay, now we are able to access. Let's save this configuration. Now our Radius server is configured. Again, like LDAP server, we need to create a user group to point that to this Radius server. Let's create that, and I'm going to name that Radius group. And again, type of that is firewall, and I'm going to add the remote group here. This time I'm going to point that to the Radius server, and okay. We didn't specify any group name here, and of course let me show you that here. We have an option. No, not edit this. Let me delete it. Add it again. The remote server is Radius server, and here group any. Specify, you can see that we don't have any option here to select, and it doesn't request and cannot bring the groups from the Radius server here in the FortiGate. Because of that, let's use any group now, and then we will speak about this, specify how to specify this group. Okay, now this is the group is created and it's pointed to Radius server. Let's save this, and this time again let's go to the system and to the administrator, and here first let me do something. Let me delete this one, because when I use the ldap, the use Radius server, it will conflict with this one, because we already have users inside this ldap. Let me remove this, and let's create another administrator and name that Radius user. Okay, the Radius user again match all users in the remote group, and the administrative profile, let's use super admin, and the remote group, of course, the Radius group that we created before. Okay, and save this. Now the Radius user is created here, and this Radius user is pointed to the Radius group, and that Radius group is pointed to the Radius server. Okay, and now it's time to test it, but before testing, let's go and do something. Let's remove Bob from this admin group. Okay, now Bob is not in the admin group anymore, and Sarah, of course, is a member of this admin group. Then Sarah should be able to access the FortiGate interface, but Bob should not be able to do that. Okay, let's go and test. Let's log out. First, let's try to log in with username Bob and its password. You see that the authentication failure. And if I try to use Sarah, I can access the FortiGate interface, graphical interface here, and of course this is the super admin according to the configuration that we created before. Okay, it was the configuration of Radius server and also the configuration of FortiGate to use the Radius server. And here, if we come back to our log, let me show you some log here. Now network policy server, and the network policy server, if I go to the details, you can see that this network policy admin access is matched here, and the full access is actually granted for this admin access. But before when I tried this Bob, is it Bob? No, it's still Sarah. Let's go and find the Bob. First I tried to authenticate the Bob, and our authentication it failed. And here, if you check, you can see that it doesn't match to any network policy, and it's failed because of this reason. Okay, I believe we did everything, and we configure our Radius server, and in the next videos I will configure the remote access VPN, and again we will use this ldap and Radius server here, and we should create some other policies here in the network policy to make sure that our remote user here can access the corporate network. For now, let's finish our video here, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also please let me know your question in the comment, and I will do my best to answer your question. Thank you for your watching, and see you in the next video.